Yay, the kids are finally asleep.
So do you feel like...
Playing a game?
I've got a feeling a boss fight's coming up.
Ooh, I just got wrecked.
Headshot, baby.
Ooh, it's your turn to get the baby.
So are you up to the challenge?
Run, 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 run.
And we're dead.
That's when I realized I have no idea what I'm doing.
GG. Welcome back to another episode of the KJ After Dark Gamer Parents Podcast. My name is Kevin, and I am joined by my fabulous wife, Joanne.
Hello, everybody.
If you're new here, Joanne and I are a married couple. We have 2 kids, ages 1 and 3, and life and games is what we talk about here on the podcast.
Yep.
Episode number 23. It is a game review week, so we're going to have a game review towards the end. I guess probably the second half is probably a better way of saying that.
I can't wait.
Do have an interesting one this week, but before we get to that, Joanne, how was your week?
My week's been going great. We played that
Spacelines from the Far Out.
Yeah,
I have
on
a mouthful
Tuesday.
title, but interesting.
Yeah, and we reached the end, so that was pretty amazing.
That always makes the game better when you actually beat it.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I really don't like it when I don't beat a game. And it sticks with me for a long time that I never beat that game.
Yeah.
Like, that'll stay with me for years. So, like, even, for example, Witcher, old game, beat the standard one, but then the DLC never finished. So I haven't forgotten about it. In the back of my head that I'm going to go finish that one day. I might do that. I probably never will, let's be honest. But just the fact that I didn't finish it kind of sits with me. So I'm glad that we did finish this one, and I feel better about moving on.
True. And I would say that the first time we played this game last week, I didn't feel as great as I did this time. So
That's just the difference between winning and losing at the game. We didn't do very well the first week of playing it. And then the second stream, which was this last week, I feel like we did a lot better. We ended up beating the game. That's just a good feeling. So,
yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll talk more about that game here in a few minutes.
True. No spoilers.
But anything else new besides obviously that game this week?
Let's see. I know there's been a big progress with our son's potty training. I think he's been doing a great job, really.
Yeah. I mean, he's 3, so he's definitely at the age where he should be, and he's pretty much. I mean, I say he's pretty much done, right? I mean, yeah, he's good. He's good at it now.
We gave him this cert, like a diploma of potty training. Kind of cute, It's like a dinosaur potty training diploma cert. That was really
graduated from potty training now. So
yeah,
much easier on us, much easier on him. He's growing up. He's getting to be our big boy.
I know. And talk about all the money we're going to save on diapers.
That too. That is a big plus.
And then I played some Lost Ark, but that's about it.
Anything new in Lost Ark, or just doing those dailies still?
Oh, in Lost Ark, I'm just exploring this new place. It's actually a lower level place that I skipped before, but since I'm kind of like done leveling, I mean, I could still do dailies and level up, but I was kind of trying to take it slow this time, so I went back to the low level area and kind of wanted to explore some and see how much more I could achievements I could get through the collectibles of Mokoko seeds.
Okay, just going back to some of the old stuff where it's way easier to get through and find those collectibles.
Yes.
Okay, very cool. Anything else?
No, that's about it. What about you?
Yeah, for me, still playing a little bit of Hearthstone, although I can feel like this week the hype for me is kind of dying down a lot more, which is kind of normal for me with that game because it's going to kind of be that way until the next expansion. I'll probably just play a little bit here and there when I have time and I need something to do on my phone. But otherwise, it's not drawing me in as much as it was. Then again, when another expansion does come out, I'll be right back to it. I know I always am.
Yeah.
And then as far as PC gaming, obviously we did a little bit of Spacelines from the Far Out together, and then the rest of it's been Vampire Survivors.
Oh, that
Just
game
the-
from last week.
Yeah, the game that I mentioned last week that like looks like it's kind of an old arcade style
Yeah.
or something. You know, it doesn't have high quality graphics or anything like that. You know, you can count the number of pixels. You know, your character is basically made up of like 5 pixels. So it's pretty bad in terms of that. But for whatever reason, I love it. I don't normally like games that look like this, but I do love games where you're facing huge numbers of enemies, right? So like 1 versus 1,000 basically, and that's kind of what this is. There's I don't even know how many, probably in the tens of thousands of enemies that you fight like in a match, maybe even more than that. I don't even know. And they're just constantly bombarding your screen, and you're just killing them as fast as they're flowing in, and
I know.
it makes you feel like super powerful with your character that just does all these attacks kind of automatically. So it's like really simple and easy to play, but like it's to me it has all the things that make it like a fun game for me. So obviously there's not a whole lot to it. It's probably almost through its lifespan for me, but still I'm really enjoying it and having a lot of fun with it for now. It is on Game Pass, although I think on Steam it's like $3 or something. Like I could be wrong about that. That was what I heard. I don't know if that's true, but I know it's on Steam too.
But I
anyways,
think
having a lot of fun with that one right now.
you're having fun with that game because it requires strategy. I noticed that like you're very into games that require strategy regardless of the quality of graphics and stuff. Like that game, like I heard you like discussing with Chris and you're talking about like what items and what weapons to equip and stuff, and then I think there's a lot of strategy.
There's a lot of like synergies, right? So like there's some weapons that, you know, they'll come up for like a certain amount of time, and then there's like passives that make your weapons like last longer. So like those work well together, right? So there's like a lot of synergies between different options to go with. So it's kind of talking about like which ones work really well together and which ones don't work together at all, you know, and then obviously picking those synergies to like make your character stronger in each game. So, but yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of like a strategy.
Yeah.
And same thing with Hearthstone. There's a lot of strategies and synergies in both those games. So I think you're kind of right there.
Yeah. Synergy, strategy, potato.
Same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of it for this week. I know our last recording, we recorded a little bit late in our weekly cycle, and then this week we're recording kind of early, so we actually recorded like 3 days ago. So there hasn't been a whole lot that's happened in the last 3 days besides a really awesome stream, which is on YouTube. You should check it out. Speaking of YouTube, you can find us at KJ After Dark, or on Twitter at twitter.com/KJ After Dark, or Instagram.com/KJ_After_Dark.
Yep.
And if you're watching on Apple Podcasts, throw a rating and a review our way. We would really appreciate that. So new games on Game Pass this week. We have Shadowrun Trilogy Console Edition and Total War 3 Kingdoms on PC. Neither of these games I've heard of.
Sounds interesting that both of them do.
Yeah, we'll have to look into them. I mean, it's Game Pass, so that's right up our alley, so we'll have to check.
Probably check the one on PC, right?
Oh yeah, the other one's not on PC, Shadowrun. But anyways, Total War, we can check it out. But Joanne, what about new game releases?
The new game releases are Fall Guys on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and Switch. And there's Shadowrun Returns, Shadowrun Trilogy, Shadowrun Dragonfall, Shadowrun Hong Kong, and they're released on all the consoles. There's also Wreckfest that's released on Switch, and Last Days of Lazarus on PC. So we could probably check the Last Days of Lazarus if it's free.
Probably not going to be free, not on Game Pass. That's kind of the best place for us to be able to get access to games, but well, we could look into it. And that was a lot of Shadowruns, you said there.
Yeah, there's
4
like
different
4
ones. That's interesting. I don't know what that's all about. Actually, hadn't heard of that one. I'm going to go look it up after this, though. And of course, Fall Guys, the game that
I know.
everybody knew about for a week. Us a bit longer because we like that one, and because our 3-year-old likes that one.
Yeah. I actually saw Fall Guys on Steam is available for free right now. So
Yep, I think they're making it a free-to-play game, I believe. I'm sure there's going to continue to be microtransactions. I believe there has been since the beginning. But that'll probably be how they're going to make their money off of it.
Yeah.
But either way, I'd rather have it that way. That way, you can play it for free if you want, or if you want to help support it, you can, buy cosmetics and that kind of stuff. I like games like that, like Warzone, completely free to play too. And then we just can pick up blueprints and stuff like that if you want. But
yeah.
Anyways, that's it for game releases. Shall we jump into the game review of Spacelines of the Far Out?
Yes, please.
Okay, Spacelines from the Far Out. Just to kind of briefly explain this one, best comparison would probably be to say it's very similar to Overcooked 2. If anyone has played that, it is a cooperative game where you're trying to get through various levels. Although instead of the cooking theme of Overcooked, you are running a spaceship. It's essentially like travel based.
Yeah.
So you're taking people from destination to destination. You're trying to keep them happy and content on their ride.
Yep.
So you have your ship, which you have to buy. At the very beginning, you get like money and you're able to buy a basic ship. Then you take on passengers, and then on each trip, you get money from each passenger, and then you have things to worry about like gas. You have to worry about how much health your ship has. You have to actually steer your ship and not run into meteors or asteroids.
Comets.
Yeah, comets is the game calls them. Or there's like asteroid belts, or what do they call them?
Asteroid jungles.
I've never heard of an asteroid jungle.
Or fat asteroid.
Yeah, it's just like a bunch of asteroids. Oh yeah, or a fat asteroid. I don't know why they call it that, but just a really massive asteroid. You do not want to run into that. And then there's various stops like along the way. Like there's this little gas station you can stop at to refuel, and that's the like trickiest thing is just watching how much gas you have and not running out of gas.
Yeah.
Because that was really annoying. Like it took a while to really get that.
Can I share my part on the?
Yeah, go for it.
And then you gotta entertain the guests, all the customers that come on board.
Yeah.
Well as feed them.
That's a good point. Since there's 2 of us, we split up like basically our duties. And for the most part, I was responsible for some stuff. Joanne was responsible for other stuff. Kind of like how we run the household, I guess. Like I would steer the ship, and I would you have to use the radar to like see things further out. You really cannot see where you're going.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because it's like top down. So you can't really see where you're flying the ship except from like using the radar. So like that's a must. You can't really do it without that. And then obviously steering the ship itself is completely separate from using the radar. And then what else? That was the main 2 things I was doing. That's literally like almost full time.
Yeah.
And then obviously when we found a place to stop, like I'd park it basically, and either we're taking on more passengers. That's one place we would stop. That gets you more money. But then more passengers, there's more to take care of.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where Joanne's part comes in. So I'll let you explain what you were having to do.
Yep. The more people come in, the more mouths to feed, the more people to entertain. Because if they get too bored, they're gonna like wreak havoc on your ship. Like some of them would just go around and play with the battery, turn it off, or take control of the steering, when you don't entertain them. So we always gotta keep them in check by dancing for them or feeding them, else they'll be giving you lower ratings on the ride on Yelp.
Yeah, or Yelp is what we like to call it.
Yeah. And then there's also like a risk of them getting sick or needing to use the bathroom. So if they feel sick because of the way Kevin drives the ship, no, I'm kidding. And then they would vomit, and then you can't clean it up because you don't have a mop or
which you can buy later, but like
Yeah.
the basic ship does not have very much. So
Yeah.
it doesn't have a bathroom.
Yeah.
It was a bad idea to begin with.
And it doesn't have the infirmary where you could treat the sick patients. And then they don't have, there's no bathroom, I mean. So there's a lot of things to cater to when it comes to passengers, just like us when we're on a flight. So
yeah, and then as you upgrade the ship, you can buy those things later or just buy a new ship outright that has those things. But you got to take on passengers to get money in order to do all that. So you kind of have to deal with taking on some extra passengers, especially you also have to buy the gas, which also costs money. So you need make sure you're taking on passengers for that. But it gets kind of crazy towards the end of the flight after you're taking on a lot of passengers, and you can run out of food, and people are getting sick and
making a mess.
Yeah. So one thing I noticed when it gets a little hectic, it's hard to tell like when one of the customers is like fed up with everything and they're just like doing their own thing, right? And like causing problems. Like you said, they'll go up to like the steering wheel and start like steering the ship. Right, sometimes like I'll be doing my own thing and I'll be like, why is the ship turning? Where are we going? And then I'll notice like someone's at the wheel. And at first I'll think it's Joanne. And then I'll realize like it's one of these random NPC passengers that's like at the wheel steering us into an asteroid or something.
Yep.
Be like, these crazy passengers, what are they doing?
Oh, and not to mention the systems on the ship. They tend to need repairing too. So
that's another thing. That was kind of like a split job, I think, between the two of us. It was like whoever was available. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like as the different functions get used, like they will occasionally like take damage, and then you have this repair wrench and you have to go and like repair everything. Otherwise, if it breaks, then like you can't use it until it gets repaired. So that was kind of another thing that would keep us busy. Everything requires like battery power. Like power, I guess I would say. And there's like a battery that you could go to like divert power to certain things because you only have like so much power. And then you'd have to like pick and choose what you wanted to power and what you wanted to leave offline. So like we had a TV, right, that like would use power. And so like if we wanted to turn that on to keep the passengers busy, we'd have to like turn off other stuff. So we would like constantly switch on and off what we wanted to be using.
Yeah, basically Kevin handles all the technicalities of the ship and I handle the hospitality part of the ship.
Yep, you are the homemaker on the ship, making sure that everyone was good and taken care of and happy.
Yes, just like in our marriage.
Yes. But anyways, now that we kind of explained how the game works, should we go ahead and hop into the reviews?
Sure.
Okay, so category reviews. The first category is convenience. What did you think about the convenience?
Well, I think every game is pretty short. I mean, like each game is the travel from one destination to the next, right? So it takes about like 5 minutes top. So I think it's pretty convenient. If you have to stop, you can stop in between the points, the destinations. At the destination, I mean,
True. Yeah, I agree that they were pretty short. Towards the end there, the trips were starting to get kind of long, but then again, our ship was pretty fast because we had like upgraded engines. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know if you could. I bet you probably couldn't pause because it was online, right?
Yeah.
Probably can't pause the game.
We never needed to pause it, thankfully, but
yeah, we've been lucky the last couple of weeks.
But even when we do need a toilet break or something, we could just like wait till we get to the next port or next station, and then we could just hop off for a bit, and then whenever we're both ready, just hop back on. So I would think it's pretty convenient. I would give it a convenient rating of 7.
7, okay. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of thinking convenience more in like if one of our kids gets up, how easy is it for us to just step away without losing?
I was thinking about that too.
But, which I think in this one, if they happen to catch us in between trips, then that's really easy because there's no harm in doing that. But in the middle of a trip, if you can't pause it, you're gonna lose, and that's the thing with
they
this.
They can wait
when you lose. Yeah. I'm assuming that they can't. But one thing, if you we didn't mention earlier, if you lose, like if you run out of fuel, or if you crash into an asteroid or a meteor,
Yeah.
then you lose your ship. Like your ship is gone. Apparently, you get rescued and you go back to the very, very beginning, but you have to start over from there, basically. So it's pretty much like a complete restart, unless you had like any money saved up or something like that. But that's a really bad feeling when you spent like a good hour or two in, and then you, as simple as just crashing into one asteroid, and then your ship is gone and you're having to start all the way back at the very beginning. Like that was a really bad feeling. That made the game like not fun anymore.
That was our first
the first night of us playing the game was that. Like we would get maybe 25%, 50% through the game, and then we would crash our ship and then be like, wait, we're back at the very beginning again?
But it makes sense because the final part, the Gamulon, what's the name of that place?
I have no idea.
Something 5, that
the last planet.
The last planet that we need to get to, that's the, what do you call it? That's the end game. So now I see why they have to make it harder,
Yeah, but
More
I don't know. It just
penalizing.
like was not fun having to restart everything from the very beginning again. It was like, did not feel good. But anyways, on convenience, I don't think I gave my rating. I am giving it a 6.
Okay, pretty close.
So kind of close to yours, just somewhat kind of average there. Next, on communication, what did you think on the communication this one required?
I think it requires a lot of communication while playing the game. I feel like I'm constantly going like, Kevin, can you help me with this? Or, oh, you'll go, can you help me repair this? I think it's a very necessary part of the game. So I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. And I'm not giving it a full thing, like a full 10 out of 10, because outside the game, we don't really talk about it as much. It's mostly like in-game.
Sure. Yeah, as far as the communication between us, I think it's not quite as much required communication as Overcooked.
Oh, yeah.
Just because Overcooked was good about making you work together, which I think in our situation was a positive. In this one, it could kind of be like, you do this, I'll do that, and as long as we're both doing what we're supposed to do, we'll be fine. But there were some times where, like, I would come up to like a asteroid belt, and that's like when I'm really busy between like navigating and steering to avoid the asteroids, that like I didn't really have time to like repair anything or like help you with any of your stuff, right? So like I would kind of lean on you a little bit more during those times to like help repair my stuff or something. And I think there was sometimes I would like go throw food on the grill thing to get some food ready so that you could feed somebody, or I would just go off and like start entertaining. Did we say how you entertain people? Did we share that?
I said
okay, the dancing thing. Yeah, so like that's something that's really easy for me to just jump off and do like when I had spare time. Like if you were saying that there's someone that needs entertaining or repairs that need to be done, or that kind of thing, we would call those out, and we would that communication would help us get through the level. So communication definitely pretty high up there. I gave it an 8. So again, kind of close to yours.
Close, yeah.
Next category is story. What did you think about story?
I don't think there's like that much story. I mean, I like the options of like you can choose between this location and that location, like there's not just like one point to the next. You have like choices like between 2 or 3 space stations to stop, and depending on the choice there's like different obstacles or different stops in between. So I guess that's the kind of story, or like
as far as like choosing your path that you take to get to the end.
And also what kind of upgrades you have and stuff like that.
Okay, I don't know if I was really considering that story, but
well, that's just like it's kind of like, when we were playing other games and then you say like there's different skill trees and stuff like that. But it's not like fully like a story like Witcher or the one that has lore like Outriders and stuff like that. I felt
like the story was really only there kind of like in the tutorial, right? Because you have like there's like this robot guy that's there to like teach you how to operate like a successful ship and like what you have to do. And it was kind of humorous. I kind of liked, and it was like, oh, you're these two new cadets, and he's going to get you started on like a ship, and you're kind of working for the Spaceline company, and the pressure is on you like to succeed and like take care of the customers.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Overcooked kind of story where it's just like in the beginning the king tells you about the zombie bread and stuff like that, and you need to go learn how to cook, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't really get us talking outside of the game compared to other stories. Like, yeah, it's not really much of like a story that we can talk about outside the game, like Borderlands 3 or Outriders or even Lost Ark.
I think we could agree that this game is not really driven by a story. It's not really a storytelling.
Yeah. So I'm giving it a 3.
3. Okay, that's fair. I didn't think it was very good on that front either. What about repeatability?
Wait, have you given your rating?
Oh, did I not? Okay.
No, I don't think so.
I didn't think it's that important anyways. Anyways, kind of related to what we were saying, story, I gave it a 2.
Okay, close.
Nothing special. Now, repeatability. For the second time, I'm repeating repeatability. What did you think about that? Repeatability.
Pretty low, I think. I mean, I already got to the end game. Unless you want to try doing a different route or not, you kind of know what's gonna happen. So I'm gonna say 1.
Okay, that's.
What about you?
So on me for repeatability, I mean, we started from scratch the second stream of this, right? We didn't even like use a previous save file or like, we started from the very beginning. We even went through the tutorial.
Yeah.
And we finished it in what, like an hour and a half?
No, 2 hours and a half.
No, it wasn't. I don't think it was that long, but anyways, maybe about 2 hours. We went from tutorial to credits. So it's a short game. I mean, I think we got not lucky. I would call it skill, but we didn't lose at all that time. So like it never set us back to the beginning.
No, we did. We did lose once.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay, we did. So we even lost once. I guess got sent back to the beginning and still went through the whole game in about 2 hours. So it's not a long game. I mean, I guess you could kind of repeat and like try adding different stuff for your ship or like, try doing different things like taking on more customers or that kind of thing, I guess. So, but that's really the only thing you could do. It doesn't really change it up very much. It doesn't really feel like you could spend more than a couple of days on this in its current state.
Yeah.
So for repeatability, I'm giving it a 2.
Oh, so slightly higher than me.
Well, I mean, you gave it a 1, so it's not really any less. Couldn't go less, that's for sure.
I thought for sure you're going to give it the same.
Yeah, I mean, well, 1's pretty low. 2 is still pretty low.
Okay.
So last category is fun. Did you have any fun with this game?
Yeah, pretty much because I'm playing with you. Now, it is pretty fun. I say only because the adrenaline was high trying to get to Gamulon 5. I think that's the name of the last planet.
Mm-hmm.
And that anticipation, or that nerve-wracking sensation trying not to mess up at all.
Yeah.
So I think it was fun when we played it, but since repeatability is low, it would just be when I'm playing it the first time, it'll be fun. So I'm giving it a fun rating of 6, maybe, kind of average. Not too bad.
Okay.
But I still think Overcooked was funner.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there about Overcooked. But on this one, Spacelines from the Far Out, kind of like what you said, I felt way different between the first night and the second night, between where we kept losing. That was not fun for me at all. And it wasn't just, losing is not fun. I mean, sure, if we can win the game, that's different. I like winning games with you versus losing games, but it's what really made it a bigger deal was when you go all the way back to the very beginning and you just lost like the last hour of progress. That's what makes it not so fun to me.
Yeah.
And so the second night, like when we were doing a lot better,
More awake.
I knew the stakes were high, right?
Yeah,
like
we knew.
If I'm in control of steering and everything, if like I hit an asteroid and then we just go back and lose like an hour and a half worth of progress, like that's not fun.
Yeah.
Like for you or me, right? So like that was a lot of pressure, like, and the stakes were high, and kind of making it all the way to the end without blowing up our ship or running out of fuel. There's so many ways you could lose and go back to the beginning. That made it more fun to me, like on the second night. But only because we were doing well. Like if we weren't doing well, then I would have not had fun. So I'm kind of taking an average of the two. So I'm giving it a 4.
Okay.
It's still, like I said, Overcooked was overall a lot more fun of a game. And
Yeah.
in fact, I think probably most of the games we reviewed are more fun to me than this one. But, I did enjoy the last day we played a little bit more.
Yeah, I remember like before we reached like in the last 3 planets, the last 3 space stations before we reached the final one, I was telling you like, stop picking up passengers. I can't handle them.
Yeah, we were like just wanting to play it as safe as possible.
Yeah, we didn't want to risk it. We know the stakes are high.
Yeah, I mean, when we made it that close, it was like, wow, we're getting I honestly did not think, like based on how the first day of playing went, I did not think we were going to get that close to like I didn't think we were going to beat the game. Then we got close and we were like, wow, we're really close. Like we need to start being really careful. Make sure we don't lose, because it's going to suck to get that far and not make it all the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, that's our ratings of each categories. Just totaling things up here. Carry the 7. Okay, I got a 22 total, and you gave it a total of 26.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So a little bit more from you, especially there on fun. You gave it a little bit more than me. Still not really great results, which I'm not that surprised by.
Yeah.
It was a fun co-op to play for a few days with a friend or a spouse. Yeah. I don't really see it being any more than that. I'm sorry, Spacelines. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So I would still recommend it though for couples to bond over and play it, because it's really quick once you get from the tutorial to the end game part. So it's a nice date night activity, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a new game to play and hop into for like a day, maybe 2, it's not a bad one, especially if you liked Overcooked and you want to play something similar to that. Then this is a good option, and again, it's on Game Pass, so if you have Game Pass, then it's right there for you.
Yep.
But that's all that we have for you this week. I hope you enjoyed our review of Spacelines from the Far Out and our updates on life and games. That wraps up episode number 23. Thank you guys for listening. I did want to also say that we are not going to have a stream this upcoming Tuesday. That is June, what would that date be? June 28th. So there will be no stream. We are taking a break.
Summer vacation break.
We're taking a break from the stream for that day. We're just going to be a little too busy.
Yep.
To make that happen. But we will be back after that with solid streams going forward, as well as the podcast episodes, of course. So we hope that you keep tuning in, and thank you, and we will talk to you next time.
Bye.